think of this just like we're sitting in my bedroom in high school.
Or like when I came out to you and we were watching a Bow Bice video in the background.
I feel like, wasn't my room downstairs like super dark? We were like sitting on my bed. I just remember it being really dark in there.
Yeah, it was really dark in there.
Yeah, because there's no windows.
There's no windows. But it was like dressed to the nines with a lot of like shiny things.
Oh, we got Pottery Barn.
Pottery Barn. Cheers. Wow. Welcome to Coffee with Coco, our inaugural podcast here at Yonder House. And we have the esteemed honor here to be with the founder, the creative director, the owner, the CEO, the COO, the CFO, the entire C-suite herself, Gretchen. So we're super excited to chat with you today about all things Yonder, where you came from, where you're going, where you're now. And I would like to start off by just saying, what is it like to be a lady entrepreneur?
Ooh.
And not that gender is everything, but I think it's really important to distinguish that you are a woman in this industry and that you literally have started this company from nothing. So it's a huge deal.
Oh, thank you. It's definitely something that never bothers me too much until I'm presented with conflict regarding it. It's been more just trying to make it work and like reflecting back on like how I handle things. I look at it like, if I were a male, would I have done it that way? Would I have handled it that way?
Like what?
I think it's comes down to like boundaries and like if in adjusting prices and doing whatever it took to make someone happy and you know, sacrificing. I think that's all just, that's like kind of big picture of it is just like, okay, if I were a male, would I have lowered my price for this? If I were a male, would I have given up my entire weekend to do something that I wasn't contracted to do? Would I have, you know, bent over backwards to do something outside of what I was, you know, able to do myself when I first started? And all of those answers were probably not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just where I'm at now is, wow.
Don't mind the
We
phone
are
calls.
blowing up.
We're blowing up because we're so busy.
It's probably a spam
True.
caller, let's be honest. Yeah, so back to it. I think just the overall impression that I get from other lady bosses in this industry is just this feeling of how do you keep balance without sacrificing yourself or your integrity or who you are as a person, a business, and that's like overall big picture of what I struggle with and what I know a lot of other women struggle with. And I don't have children, which makes it a little bit easier, but like this being my baby is like, I'm very protective of her and or him. And we just, I don't know. I can't imagine having a child and doing this. Like Naomi and Michael, our operations director and our production director, they have a child and they've been with us for this is their 4th season. And I can't imagine having a kid, an actual human being you have to care for, not a pup that you can leave at home and he sleeps all day. So yeah, I give major props to females out there that have children and businesses too, because that's...
Wait, sidebar. Naomi and Michael have only been with Yonder for 4 years, and this is our 8th season?
8th season.
So, who was doing it before?
Ooh, you're looking at her.
Yeah.
She's put a couple of wrinkles on since then. A couple of bad back situations.
Like any parent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that first 4 years, my sister Kelsey, she helped for off and on a couple years. I did a lot of it myself. I hired a lot of people off of Craigslist.
Would you recommend doing that?
Not so much. I'll share a story about that later.
Hey, but the work got done, you know?
It got done.
And here we are today. Yeah. I'm interested in floral versus rental, going back to being a female entrepreneur, business owner, and owner of this company. Is there a difference that you see between the rental side and the floral side? Because one's a little more male dominated and one's a little more female dominated?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to think right now of any. I think at least in Colorado, I don't know of any male-owned floral companies. I'm trying to rack my brain now, so I'm sorry if I'm forgetting any, but for the most part, everyone is female-owned, which just florals in itself compared to rentals is a very, I don't know, just a lot more labor-intensive on the back end, so you're prepping and processing and designing, whereas our rentals, like, it is a lot heavier to carry a couch versus a floral centerpiece, but we've gotten the flow down really well with our rental team to like make it just in and out, and like it lives in its home and it goes right back out again. It gets clean, it goes back out. So I don't want to like minimize the amount of work that goes with our rentals, because that took a long time to get to that point. But now that we have that process down and we have a great team that's really into keeping things clean and keeping things organized and ready to go, like that process is just like bread and butter for us. So it allows us to do florals that we are really passionate about and be more particular with the clients that we take, just because we're not like a floral shop that has like walk-ins. We don't stock flowers outside of weddings, so when we order product, it's specific for an event. And I just know the amount of work that the girls put into it, of like processing it, and our whole floral team of like designing and prepping vases. It's just like, it's a week-long process leading up to the event, and then installing the event, and then breaking down the event with florals is just, it's a beast. And I give like mad props to all the females out there and males that are doing it, because it is a lot of work, and there's not as much profit in it because you have to buy product for it. So it's just, you have to have a lot of love and respect for it, because otherwise it's just gonna kill you.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you have a lot of love and respect for the entire operation. Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about now, like what is going on this season, season 8. How's it been going so far? What are you looking forward to? Challenges that you faced?
I think season 8, my favorite number, my lucky number.
Oh,
so we're gonna take that and run with it. Biggest change this year is definitely our team and more forward thinking. So instead of being reactive, we're really focusing on being proactive, planning ahead, just enabling our management team of, we have 12 full-timers now, enabling them to be able to delegate their work out to our amazing part-timers, and just like empowering everyone to look at it big picture. Like, even if you're just like washing dishes, that is equally as important as it is to like be on site and delivering it. You like Ashley, our post-production manager, dish manager, she checks every single fork, every single piece. Even if she's not watching it, she checks it, because her eye is just like meticulous. So I think production, just back in the warehouse, of like just enabling everyone to like feel like they're supported, feel like there's people around so that we don't get burnt out. That was like our biggest struggle the last couple of years, was just like, okay, how do we not burn out? And it's still something that we're facing. Like we're going into the 3rd straight weekends in June of being really swamped, and our team is in Montana, and they are just like crushing it. But we had just come off a weekend Telluride. They went straight into the airport, flew out, and have been moving nonstop. And then next weekend, when they get back, we've got 2 floral weddings. So it's just, it's definitely nonstop. And for it to be June, the beginning of June, it's just a lot to think about. So just always getting them like support is really important to me.
Let's go back. How are you feeling about this whole Yonder Without Borders situation, where we're going all over Colorado and now into other states.
It's exciting. I feel like the trend for us kind of goes like 1 year we're Denver heavy, 1 year we're mountain heavy, and this year we're definitely mountain and beyond. Which is like a whole nother animal. Just with our event in Telluride, that was our first one designing on site and really learning all of that process, like making sure that we pack everything, making sure that we get there enough time to process and just design. But it's really like super cool to see it in different spaces, because there are so many spaces here in Denver that we work at a lot that are beautiful. It's just cool to see it in, like, challenge ourselves to see it in new atmospheres and just transform new spaces. That's always a fun thing to see.
Yeah, lovely. Again, to go back, a lot of growth. So in 4 years, you essentially hired 12 people. How do you feel about that?
Payroll is fun.
I'm sure it is. But how have you been able, like, you birthed this entire brand, and the brand has been really tied to you as a person, because you have literally been doing everything for the first 4 years. How has it been to grow and let someone else kind of take over and care for this baby that you've birthed?
Yeah, it was hard. Trust is hard when you're used to doing it all yourself. So I think just getting to a point where I feel like I'm passing on what I need and what I need from my team, and just getting our expectations and our boundaries out there of like, I need this from you at this time, what do you need from me? Excuse me. Empowering that has been really helpful. And that's definitely been a learning curve. Like when Michael and Naomi started with me, they were washing dishes, they were processing flowers, they were delivering, they were driving, they were striking, we were doing everything. And that was 3 of us with some random part-time people from Craigslist here and there. And then we learned, like, okay, where are we burning out and where are we not succeeding? And we really addressed that. Last year, our biggest focus was processes of like getting a process down so that everything doesn't have to live in our head. We can just, okay, this is how we do it. You follow this and you'll succeed. So that was last year's focus, was just really like not just surviving but thriving within our company. And then this year was mostly just like, we need people in here that care. We struggled through a lot of just full-time staff in the past that just didn't have the same level of care that all of our current team does, and that's like a huge thing for us, is just like, you gotta care. It's a lot of work, and if you don't care about it, you're gonna end up breaking something, and some of the inventory you're gonna, just, there's too many scenarios to go over, but just caring is like a big thing. So now that we have 12 people in here that are full-time, and then a good like 20 to 30 part-timers, it's just been, I think that's been the biggest change of like seeing everyone feel like they have support. So like, okay, you can't prep all those vases, like with Whitney and Mallory, Whitney our design director and Mallory our floral supervisor, you can't prep all the vases. So we have Mia, who is awesome at doing all of that work, that is really supporting them and feeling like they don't have to be hands-on with every single thing. They're overseeing it, they're overseeing the design, but being able to step back and like think more big picture and more design side is just, that's been the best feeling of support.
How would you describe the culture of the company now?
Just, I think family is like the biggest thing. Just like everyone is in it.
Yeah. It's emotional to think about, like, this whole journey that you've been on mostly by yourself, and now you have a lot of help, and it's hard to let that go into someone else's hand, but to also like see it thriving, it's just, it has to be emotional. It's everything is emotional. So
I know I cried within 30 seconds of our onboarding training, and I was just like, "This is me."
Oh, the people saw. The people saw. Follow our Insta story.
Yeah, I think just family, because we are literally a family. Like, you're my best friend. My sister works here. Michael and Naomi are husband and wife. Whitney and her wife work here. Mallory, she's our newbie, but she has just jumped in and become part of the family. Like nothing. Morgan, our other new person up front, she's just been great. Steph has been with us for several years. Her and her husband work here.
Michael's sister
Ashley. So it's very ancestral. It's kind of weird, but it just like everyone just is there for each other. Like we can tell when you've had like a hard day, and we just like care about it. It's more than just like, it's not like sales team versus warehouse team. It is like we are all in it. We all care about it. We've all done that side, and they recognize that. Recognize that, and I think that gives a little bit more of like an autonomy of like, okay, we've all been there, and we all know it's hard.
Yeah.
So that's just a good feeling of just everyone being there, like on site. We're not only delivering flowers, we're delivering rentals, so we're there to like support each other and just like never to feel like you're on your own, because we've been there, I've been there, and that's not a good feeling. You will end up in tears in the back of a box truck, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
That's never happened to you.
No, never.
Yeah, I've been on site, and it is amazing to see everyone have their own job and tasks to do, but then also just without question just help anyone out with anything until the entire design has come together and has really just made this like huge impact, and everyone gives a shit about that end result. And I think that's what a lot of people see on Instagram or even the stories, or just everyone wants to see the glamorous side. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it takes to get to those beautiful shots that you see on our Instagram and beyond, and on our website?
Yeah, I think that's a struggle that I see amongst like other rental companies out there that I follow, is also this feeling of like, I have to live in the pretty, and I have to live in like what people are gonna like and share and comment on. Like that's a struggle, because that's the fun side. That's like, that is the pretty side.
Yeah.
But I think what people, like even our clients, don't understand is that when you show up to your wedding and there's a beautiful lounge sitting in the middle of a field, that obviously didn't just show up. Our team touches each product at least 4 times, and that is pulling the inventory to our staging area, pulling it into the van, delivering it to the venue, walking out to the middle of the field, setting it, making sure it's perfect, covering it with plastic, making sure that it's covered in case there's rain, coming back again usually at midnight or 1 a.m. to pick it all back up, put it back in the truck, bring it into our cleaning area, clean it, and reset it back into the space. So that's, I think, 6 times.
Yes, I think it might have been more than 4.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So it's something that's important to me to be able to share. Of, it used to be just me, and I had to show the pretty side because that is all I could show. The ugly side was not pretty, and now like our ugly side is showing like all of the care and attention to detail and workmanship that we put into our stuff, that I think makes us stand out, and just we care, we're there, we are on top of it, and it doesn't just appear. So we're just trying to show like everyone else that it's okay to not have the pretty, it's okay to show the like behind the scenes, and show that it's not just me anymore, because that's how it started, and that's how I started our relationships with our clients, is that it was just me. And in that came this feeling of like, I'll do whatever, like I don't care if I make any money, I don't care if it's profitable or if it's me killing myself moving a sofa by myself, I don't care. Like that was the mentality that I had that I feel like a lot of other startups face, which is hard because you want to get the business and you want to feel like people are supporting you, but it's also like, how much are you willing to sacrifice? And that's just like, I just want people to know that sucks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
standing up for yourself and putting boundaries out is important, or else you're gonna burn out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's where we're at, is being able to set boundaries and stand up for ourselves and know our worth and know that we have the experience and being confident in that, because if you're not confident, people will walk all over you, and that's not a good feeling. So just having self-worth and knowing that you can express that to people, and if you let them know where you need to be price-wise based on your experience and your value, I think people will respect that. So
yeah, and I think that boundaries are healthy, and people either respect them or you don't, and then you kind of go forward from there with how it is, but it's your boundary, right? And you can set it. And I think that is like the next level for Yonder, because you have been at this for 8 years. You have proved your worth. You have made a name for yourself in the industry, Denver and beyond. And I think it's that time to really just be confident and know that you are worthy of not just pricing, but just the design. I mean, yes, we are rentals. Yes, we are floral. Yes, we are decor, and all that together equals a design house. And I think it's taken 8 years to really remove yourself as the brand and make Yonder Design House the actual brand, which it is and it has been. But I think that the more people that get involved, it really is this brand that is gonna only continue to soar.
Yeah, I think that's the way of a successful business. Like, Apple isn't Steve Jobs. You know, that's a hard thing to not associate with, and to know that I'm interesting, very capable, creative, trustworthy, dependable, smart people with these roles is just going to make this so much better, because it's not just me. I'm not going to be able to get to every single email. Like, everyone is empowered to be able to know how I would handle it, and that's been the best feeling of just like, okay, this is how I would handle, like, people consulting me of like, okay, how would you handle this situation, and me being able to just express like, this is what I've learned from the past. Excuse me, this is what I've learned from the past, like, let's handle it this way to avoid conflict, to avoid something not going right. And that's a good feeling to be able to pass that on to people, so that they don't have to go through a learning experience of like, this did not go the way it needed to be. And that's a cool feeling, to just like, again, think more proactively and not reactively, and just helping our clients succeed too within that, because we're using our experience of like, this is what happened in the past with this situation, and let's avoid that and do it this way. So.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely put in the work and the hours and the blood, sweat, and tears to get to where you are. A little choose your own adventure. Do we want to go into the past and talk about, not that there's not blood, sweat, and tears now, but a little bit more of the beginnings of Yonder?
Sure.
Or do we want to talk about where we're going? What feels good for you?
I think we've touched on the past.
I'm going to talk about the future.
Yeah, let's talk about the future.
Yeah.
The future is now.
The future is now. Where do you see Yonder in 5 years?
5 years. I've got some secrets up my sleeve.
Oh, do we want to tell the children about them or no?
Not quite yet,
okay. But you got plans.
Got plans. Got plans. I would say, so our biggest growth this year was definitely more full-time staff, more part-time, and then expanding our warehouse into twice the size. So with 12,000 square feet now, just being able to grow, that was our big step. That's definitely something that's on the forefront of my brain, just making sure that we are always thinking ahead with styles and fabrications and partnerships and designs. Just trying to think more big picture of what can we do to stay ahead of the game. Just thinking big picture outside specifics is definitely like empowering our team to always present like new options, new things that we can do. Sorry that was rambly, but I don't want to spill too many secrets, but that's just big picture, just keeping that growth pattern of support and empowering our full-time team to really delegate and feel like they can utilize the support team. That's where I see internally just growth coming from.
Yeah. Beyond weddings?
Beyond weddings.
That's all we'll say. Stay tuned as the truth unfolds. I just had a question that flew out of my head. Oh, dream client. What would be your dream client?
That's a good one.
I guess who is your dream client?
Dream client, I think someone that comes to us based on what they see, the pretty and the not pretty, and they dig our style. They are trusting in that they know a general aesthetic of what they want, but aren't locked into replicating a design that already lives out on Pinterest. I think that's our biggest thing that we get excited about is when clients come and say, this is the general aesthetic, this is the theme kind of idea that we're going for. We trust you, take it and run. And then also this is kind of on the back end, but I think what is becoming really important to us is clients that respect where our pricing is at and works with us on, okay, this necessarily isn't going to fit in my budget, but I'm focused on, I want really impactful installations. I don't care so much about tables, like let's go a little bit smaller on tables but do really cool installation. Someone that knows that up front, like things that are important to them, that's always super helpful for us to know, like we want to spend your money and get the most bang for your buck. Excuse me. So knowing that up front of like what's important to them and verbalizing that is really helpful. Also like I think just trust. Trust is a big one. Like coming to us knowing that we're gonna create something beautiful and not necessarily needing to map out specifics, but more of an overall like an aesthetic of what they want from their event, giving us the freedom to just really like design on site of this is what maybe this flower wasn't on your design board, but it came in, it was really beautiful and like even beyond what we were anticipating, let's throw it in. Someone that's just very open to just more of the overall aesthetic that they can present to us and we can illustrate that for them.
Well, things can be planned and planned and planned, and then you get on site, or like you said, like floral might not be in season, or something really cool might be in season that we want to add to it, knowing that it would be part of the entire design and aesthetic. And I think it's what I'm hearing from you and my, experience with doing design stuff is just like the magic happens on site, and like you got to be able to like roll with it. And I think trust, like you said, is the biggest piece to like let clients know that like things are gonna shift and like shake out in various ways when we're on site, and as we're making the magic, just let us like trust us to do that and make sure that we're gonna make a beautiful impact for your event.
So my husband Mikey works for us, and when we were in Telluride, he was talking with Cody and I, and he said he was describing, so we're kind of like venture capitalists, right? Focusing on selling an emotion. And I was like, that's a really cool way to put it. Like that's what our business is emotion. Like even if it's a corporate event, you're selling the emotion of like, this is what our brand is, this is how it's elevated, this is what makes us who we are, and down to a wedding of like you're creating an emotion that the couple wants their guests to experience. And so I just thought that was like a cool way to think of it, is like outside of being designers, because I think that's the hardest part for us when someone asks what we do. We're like, we're event designers, like we're a rental house, and they're like, oh, so you're an event planner, and we're like, no, close, but like this is what we do, and people just never really get it. So I think that was just like a cool way to think through like what we actually do is like outside of all of the product is we're selling an emotion and like trying to convey that emotion. So back to like dream client is like someone that's emotion is what is important to them, is like I'm not locked into this certain flower, I'm not locked into replicating this design, I'm locked into like having a guest experience that's really this word or this word, whatever is important to them.
Yeah, I think that is a good way to think about it, because it is hard to describe everything that's going on here because there's so many facets. I mean, just looking at the website, it's like there's so much going on, and I think you've done a really good job of like streamlining that so people can understand it. But I think that you are selling a feeling and emotion, and you are selling like that impact, like that thing you almost can't describe anyway, because like when clients like walk in and see a finished design in a space that has been completely recreated, how do you sell that? Like how do you put that on a website? How do you you can convey it through all the beauty though, but it is really like that feeling that comes up within clients when they see that finished result.
And we unfortunately don't usually get to see like guest reaction outside of if we're like creeping through the window, like watching the bride walk down the aisle.
That's never happened.
But I think that is like that's the feeling that we all want to experience that unfortunately we don't necessarily get to experience outside of getting to email the client afterwards of saying like, how was your event, like thank you so much for having us, like we'd love to hear how it went. But that kind of client reaction or like guest reaction has got to be the best thing, and that's what the clients get to experience, is like their friends coming up to them at their wedding and saying, this is the most beautiful wedding I've ever been to, like this is so you guys. Or corporate events, like seeing all of the Instagram posts that people post in front of an installation that we've created is just like, that's like a pretty direct response that they get to see, or feedback from whoever their guests are at their event. But that's like something that's definitely very cool to let the clients get to experience. It's like, okay, this is how you reacted to it, but then you get to experience all of your guests' reaction to it as well, which is like what you want in the end. You're not going to be at your own wedding walking around and looking at every single centerpiece. You're getting the feedback from your guests of like, wow, those centerpieces were so cool, or that hanging installation was amazing. Like, I think that's what people don't necessarily plan for, and that's like the biggest feedback that they get is just like guest experience. So it is emotion.
It is emotion. You've mentioned installations. I didn't even know what that was when I first started here. So can you kind of explain that a little bit more? And I feel like that is a huge service offering of Yonder, especially in the last several years. Can you talk a little bit more about what you mean by custom installations and all of that stuff?
Yeah. So if you were a guest of the house party or saw pictures of the house party, this year in particular was very focused on installations and experiences. So we had an experience cube that was literally just a giant box that on the outside had like neon signs that were branded for us, and like
a drum set throwing up flowers on the side.
Just puking flowers.
That was impactful to me. That's like the first thing I saw.
So it was just like this whole exterior cube, and then you went around the back, and on the inside we had our girl Samira inside doing festival makeup for people. And so it was just like more of like, what's going on, like what to expect, like what is this thing, which is like, wow, should have shut that off.
She's a busy gal.
Just more of this feeling of like anticipation and surprise that I feel like is a really big emotion that people want their guests to experience. Spinning disco ball pillar thing. Lots of just like, I don't know, I feel like that's where we try to lead our brides on the floral side is like, yes, sometimes table centerpieces are like very important to you and that's awesome, but sometimes it's not. So let's go a little bit less impactful on the centerpieces and do a killer cocktail hour installation or after party installation where you're just really focusing on the experience that your guests are going to have outside of the traditional centerpieces and
thinking beyond all of that traditional stuff.
Yeah.
Or just rethinking it, even if you are a big centerpiece gal and this is really what I want, but now we'll do like lowers, raised, like in a lucite box, like all sorts of amazing things that are still in that like traditional vein, but like just elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like what Yonder does is just like takes people's ideas and then just like elevates them and like really allows our design to shine through but still like meet all of their needs and kind of like blow their minds. Like hopefully we're blowing clients' minds. I think we are. And just being able to like take something in their head and make it real, and that's the emotion, right? That's the
I think
impact.
that's the hard part is because our goal is to not replicate what's out there in Pinterest land. Like a lot of clients get focused on like, I love this design, this is exactly what I want. And that's like a hard thing for us to hear because we don't work like that. We want to create something for them that's like, it doesn't live anywhere. And how do you show that to a client without them being like, I'm nervous about that.
Well, it's like going to a tattoo artist and saying, replicate this exact thing on my body. Because you're like taking the art out of it. You're like a screen printer at that point. I've done that before and I'm like, I know this sucks for you. I'm really sorry, but I want this exact thing. But I've also been like, I want this like idea and like go for it, and I honestly think those are better tattoos and definitely better like designs, installations, and entire decor. Like it allows you to like do what you do.
And that's the thing we have to remind ourselves is that like our clients aren't living on Pinterest looking at the things that we're looking at. They're looking at like, okay, Pinterest is feeding you these ideas based on like images that you've liked or saved. Like that's all you're gonna see is like this same green garland on every single page because that's what it's suggesting to you. So it's just hard. It's hard for you guys to see what we're seeing because we're liking and following things that are like just recently posted that like is totally different than what may be out there. So that's where we're getting in our inspiration and color palettes from is like new stuff that's out there that maybe Pinterest isn't. We don't get a lot of it from Pinterest, but that's the hard struggle is like you see this one picture and now your entire Pinterest page looks just like that one picture, and in all reality you don't want something that's already living out there. Maybe it's just this fear of like the unknown of what could happen, like take this as inspiration and like turn it into something cool and unique and different. That's kind of where we're living is like if we can enable our clients to trust us that you want something new and different, like let us do that for you. And moving from that.
Several things are rolling around in my head. One, I did not realize that was going on Pinterest, and I get really annoyed with Pinterest because I liked like one Hughie life image, and now everything's like big knit blankets and like cozy little like attic spaces, which I love that, but like you're totally right. Now I can't get rid of any of that stuff. It just keeps like being like, what about this? What about this? And so you can kind of get stuck in that aesthetic, I guess you'd say. But then I love what you're saying. Like we at Yonder are like looking everywhere else. Like how many times had the floral team like literally like foraged for things that were like in that area on their way to an event, something that like caught their eye, and bringing that to clients. I mean, how unique is that? And another thing I would like to talk about is inspirations from the coast and bringing that inland, because I think that's why we got named top 25 best florists in America by Harper's Bazaar magazine. Thank you very much. I will go ahead and gloat about that on camera because I know you probably don't want to do that, but I mean, what a humbling experience that was. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was crazy. We had gotten reached out to by one of their editors, and she just kind of said, hey, you're in consideration for this. Here are some questions that we have for you. Would you mind filling it out? And I was like, okay, cool. We probably won't get this. Like, I'm sure there's like a million. There's so many freaking talented florists everywhere that are just killing everything, and that's not killing in a bad way, like killing it. Like, it's just cool to be considered, and that's just like always a hard thing for me, is like I started with flowers just like working with ones I liked and just teaching myself how to do it, and so that's always something I hold in the back of my head of like, I'm not as good as everyone else because I taught this to myself and I never had floral training, and you
taught yourself.
Yeah, so I just picked it up, and so that's just always something I hold as like, this was not my original craft. I have a degree in public relations. Like, that's
Me too.
far from it. So I think that is always something that I think about with the being named in this list of insanely talented florists all over the country, and so it's something I just have to deal with. It's hard for me to address it. It's a huge honor and something that I think has helped us to get past the point of feeling insecure about it. Is just like, well, someone out there saw it in us, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, a huge influential magazine saw you, right?
Yeah.
And we're not LA, we're not New York, but we're bringing that level to Denver and beyond, into like middle America. And that's a huge honor to receive. Weren't we like one of 3 that weren't on the coast?
Yeah, I think.
I don't want to.
Like coastal, there's like all the way up to Portland, California, and then there's New York. I think there was
one in Wisconsin or something.
Wisconsin or somewhere in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Minneapolis.
Yes, she's really good.
Yeah, and we love that. But I think it's just a huge honor for them to not like focus on people that are doing things that like aren't on the coast, because not everyone lives in California or New York, and we're bringing it to everyone here.
That's a hard thing that was a hard thing to see, because I know of all the great florists here in Denver that are doing insanely cool things just like the coasts are, but it's hard to get. Trends tend to come here 3 years after they happen on the coast, and so that's just something we also try to remind ourselves of, is like, we love everything that is happening out in California. Like, we may not be ready for it here, but like, if we can start pushing our clients and our designers to look forward versus like what's living now or what is living on Pinterest, I think it would just be beneficial for everyone to just elevate the whole community here of that confidence that we are on the same level as California and New York. Like, we're in the middle of the mountains. Like, we can't just drive in town and just be there. It's like a 4-hour drive to Aspen to install something. So I have like so much props for like everyone out here that does floral, because the delivery and the install is insane, and to go to Vail, you're like 2.5 hours away, and to go to all these mountain towns, it's a drive, it's a haul, and it's just something that we deal with. We also don't get to have year-round events out here because we have winter season that is makes us crunch everything into 6 months, and so we're all just like, how much can we get in? And from May to October, like, get it all in, because after that we got 6 months off. Well, not off, but just learning that, like, how do you not burn out before you have to like reset all over again and just start it all? Like, it would be amazing to live out in California where you got 12 months of usable time,
Right.
outdoor venues 24/7, 365. Out here it's like 6 months of that.
Yeah, it's an ebb and flow for sure.
Yeah.
What are we missing? What do we want to talk about?
Where are we at?
Do you want to talk about this? Speaking of ebbs and flows, we're getting into busy season. We're in it. And anything you want to talk about this 8th season that we're in right now? Things you're looking forward to? Maybe not specific events, but just things that you're looking forward to, challenges.
This year I think I'm looking forward to just I really enjoy seeing what we learn from every year or every weekend. So having a group meeting of like, okay, these are the things that went wrong, like addressing that ugly, addressing it up front, and being like, this did not go right, like how can we address this in the future and like avoid this happening. I think that's what I look forward to the most, because I think that makes us grow the most, is just addressing and learning from and having those like coachable moments. Because I think that's just, in the past when it was just me, I was like, well, I can't do it like that again or else this is going to happen. And like I had to do it like that again because there was no growth, there was no ability to expand and like hire people on, because I wasn't charging enough to even cover their labor. Like that's something that you just have to get this confidence of like, okay, in order for this event to happen and the other 12 events that are happening that weekend, like we have to have staff that is capable and confident and creative and put them into those roles. You can't do it all yourself, otherwise you're gonna fail your clients and fail your product, and just that continual growth is just what eases my brain and my just aura of feeling like I have to take it all on. And that's just been really nice to like take that off my shoulders and feel confident that everyone is able to take that on and be supported and continue to grow. So I'm seeing like one more good year of just really like getting all of these, like this big new growth from like 3 of us to 12 of us plus 30 part-timers. Like that's a huge growth, and I just want to like live in that and like know that this is like a really good feeling versus where we were at.
And you have to take time to like reflect on where you've been and where you're at and where you're going. And I really appreciate you sharing your vision, sharing your talents with the world. And it's just amazing to see everything that you have done over the last 8 years. I know that they were very humble beginnings, and to think about where you are now as someone that has been touching the brand for a while, but also like very much lived on the outside and just was able to watch you. I'm so proud of you and Yonder, and not only the brand, but just the product that you deliver to clients is impeccable. It's incredible to see it all come together on these sites.
Thank you.
And I know at each stage, like design, all the gathering, all the prep, talking with clients, actually like prepping the, loading up to go on a site, doing it on site, and of course the strike, like all of that stuff takes so much time. And to think that you are at a space now where you have people doing multiple things at every stage of prepping for a big event, and having multiple events on any given weekend throughout busy season, it's just remarkable. So I'm really glad that you were able to sit with me today and reflect on everything that's going on. And I know you got your eye on the future, so I'm so excited to see where Yonder goes next.
Yeah, we're excited too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, don't forget to subscribe to our Yonder YouTube channel. We just started it, but there's already some cool videos up there for you to check out. Definitely more with Gretchen Justin, the owner, creator, influencer that has built Yonder from the ground up. So we are really, really excited for you to come back and have more conversations to share with everyone, because I think it's really important for people to see beyond all the beauty and to see the heart and soul that goes into it. So
to see beyonder.